President Park Geun-hye is on her state visit to Vietnam, promoting economic and cultural exchanges with the Southeast Asian nation. She even participated in a fashion show. Korean bank books found in Japan show that a considerable amount of wages were never paid to forced laborers from Korea during Japan's colonial rule over the peninsula. And reports say North Korea is awash by Hallyu, the South Korean cultural wave, with young North Koreans watching South Korean dramas and movies on video players imported from China. Hello and welcome to News Today on KBS World. It's Monday, September 9th. I'm Luke Clary. President Park Geun-hye made an impression on her hosts in Vietnam on her state visit there over the weekend, taking the stage in a joint Korean-Vietnamese fashion show garbed in a traditional Korean hanbok. On the trip, she was accompanied by a large delegation of Korean businessmen, meeting with several Vietnamese entrepreneurs to encourage bilateral economic cooperation.
This is a fashion show featuring the Korean traditional costume hanbok and Vietnam's áo dài. President Park Geun-hye personally walked the runway dressed in an ivory-colored hanbok. In her greeting message to the applauding crowd, she stressed the importance of bilateral cultural cooperation.
소중한 인연이 앞으로 계속 이어져서 두 나라가 진정한 동반자로 더욱 발전해 나가기를 바라겠습니다. 고맙습니다. Come on.
Later on, President Park and the largest delegation of Korean entrepreneurs had dinner with Vietnamese business leaders. She said she chose Vietnam for her first visit to a Southeast Asian nation because she recognized Vietnam's potential as a rising economy. She also proposed to expand economic cooperation in areas such as nuclear power, environment, and information and communications.
원전 건설 협력이 구체화되면 베트남 경제의 안정적 성장에 크게 기여할 뿐만 아니라 양국 간 경제 협력의 새로운 지평을 열게 될 것입니다.
She also sought support from the participants for a timely conclusion of a free trade agreement between Korea and Vietnam.
Representative Lee Suk-hee, who was arrested on conspiracy charges, still refuses to testify to the National Intelligence Service. The spy agency is considering applying anti-state charges against the United Progressive Party lawmaker.
When the National Intelligence Service arrested Representative Lee Suk-hee last week, it charged him with conspiracy of rebellion, instigation, and national security law violations. But now the spy agency is considering applying anti-state charges as well. Article 93 of the criminal law defines anti-state activities as activities performed jointly with the enemies of the Republic of Korea to hurt its national interests. To apply the anti-state charges, the NIS must find evidence that E has connections with North Korea. Observers say the NIS has probably already found concrete evidence that E conspired with the North. The anti-state charges can be proved easily once there is evidence that a charged person has something to do with North Korea. The NIS will likely apply the charges if the rebellion conspiracy charges are found to be invalid in E's case. The NIS has also requested prosecutors to investigate certain members of the Unified Progressive Party for the obstruction of justice during last month's raids and the execution of Lee Suk-hee's arrest warrant early this month.
Tens of thousands of bank books belonging to Koreans forced into labor during Japan's colonial rule of the Korean peninsula have been found in Japan. The bank books prove that a considerable amount of wages remained unpaid to forced laborers from Korea, putting pressure on Tokyo to pay compensation.
This statement shows some 300 Japanese companies did not pay wages to 130,000 Korean forced laborers. At the time, Japanese employers made Korean laborers save a large portion of their wages in bank accounts as a means to prevent them from running away. However, Japan's government and corporations insist that the issue over compensating the laborers had already been settled.
請求権経済協力協定によってですね、完全にそして最終的に解決済みで
Tens of thousands of bank books belonging to wartime Korean forced laborers were recently found at a bank in Fukuoka. Such decisive evidence reveals that the Japanese government signed an accord with South Korea on settling such damage claims without conducting a full investigation into unpaid wages. Conscientious Japanese intellectuals are urging Japan's government, post offices, and businesses to create a fund to compensate the victims. In July, a South Korean court ordered 2 Japanese companies, Nippon Steel and Sumitomo Metal, as well as Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, to pay more than $91,000 in damages to each laborer. More than 1 million Koreans were conscripted as forced laborers by Japan during World War II. Of them, 25,000 are still alive.
The Central Post Office in the U.S. city of Glendale, California is paying tribute to Korean comfort women forced into sexual slavery by the Japanese Army during Japanese colonial rule. Visitors who wish to send mail from the post office can use a special stamp featuring the Peace Monument, a statue in Glendale dedicated to Korean comfort women.
The first peace monument in the United States was erected in the vicinity of Los Angeles a month ago, despite the opposition from the Japanese government. Recently, a postmark featuring the monument was introduced at a local post office to perpetuate the traces of the Japanese Army's war crimes. Only half of the monument is featured on the postmark to criticize Japan for its refusal to acknowledge its atrocities. At the top of the postmark, there's a phrase reading Peace Monument Station, and at the bottom, there's the date of the monument's establishment. The postmark was introduced after the U.S. Postal Service accepted the request of a Korean American named Chae Kyung-nak.
일본 정부에서 그 과거사에 대한 그런 해명을 우리가 원하는 것 정도의 그런 수준까지 오지 못하고 있기 때문에 그 압력이 되지 않을까.
Those who want to send their mail or parcels using the Peace Monument postmark can do so by visiting the Glendale Central Post Office in person or by inserting letters with the postmarks in a larger envelope. Letters with the Peace Monument postmarks will also be sent to the head of the U.S. House Committee on Foreign Affairs and the Library of Congress to keep them as the official record of the U.S. government. Authorities are also considering sending letters with the Peace Monument postmarks to Japanese political leaders who keep making blunt remarks about Japan's past crimes.
The Defense Ministry has grounded plans to adopt a monitoring system based on aerostat, buoyant aircraft that look like a blimp or balloon. The Defense Ministry is at odds with a U.S. supplier over an immediate payment.
A tethered aerostat equipped with a high-performance camera monitors the enemy from high above in the sky. The remote-controlled craft is capable of monitoring regions dozens of kilometers away in the night. The South Korean military imported the aerostat to boost its reconnaissance capabilities in the region near the inter-Korean maritime border over the Yellow Sea after North Korea's shelling of the South Yeonpyeong Island in 2010. The 23-meter long and 7-meter tall craft is priced at over $22 million. It was imported in May, and the South Korean military planned to put it into operation as soon as inspections were completed.
시험평가 중에 발생한 문제로 현재 사업이 잠정 중단되어 있습니다. 주 계약 업체와 향후 일정 등에 대해서 논의 중에 있습니다.
However, a U.S. supplier put a brake on South Korea's plan after a problem was discovered. It withdrew its inspectors, demanding $7.3 million in intermediate payment. The Defense Acquisition Program Administration says that under the contract, it can make the intermediate payment only after all crucial parts have been delivered. One key part did not arrive. The agency is persuading a domestic supplier to take up the project. But it is unclear if the domestic company will accept the offer. The administration says the suspension of the project is temporary and will work to settle the dispute with the U.S. supplier as soon as possible. It has pledged to put the aerostat to use by November.
The public sector will soon introduce part-time jobs with flexible work hours. The move is expected to help the government promote job sharing in line with President Park Geun-hye's presidential campaign pledge to reach an employment rate of 70% by 2017.
Employees at this large supermarket chain can choose their work hours. Some of them work just 5 hours a day, some 8. They start and finish their work at a different time, but they all get the same hourly rate for their jobs. Starting next year, such flexible part-time jobs will be introduced at government agencies and local governments as well. Work duties that currently take 8 hours to perform by one public official will be shared among 2 officials. Work hours will range from 4 to 6 hours a day, but part-time workers will not be discriminated from their full-time counterparts in terms of work conditions. Public and private schools will be allowed to hire part-time teachers. In all, the government is poised to create 9,000 part-time jobs in the public sector by 2017. To encourage conglomerates to hire part-timers, the government will provide tax exemptions. But creating decent part-time jobs remains the most challenging part.
노동 강도가 강화되고 차별과 인사승진에서 배제되는 일자리가 양산될 우려가 존재하는 겁니다.
The Ministry of Employment and Labor is to push for the enactment of a special law designed to protect part-time workers and set up a support center for them by the end of this year.
North Korea is the latest country to become awash by Hallyu, or the Korean wave. The South Korean pop culture boom. Reports say young North Koreans watch South Korean dramas and movies on video players imported from China.
North Korean people watch South Korean dramas with copied CDs.
난 다시 그런 사랑 안 해요. 너무 아파서, 정말 아파서 더는 못해요.
These days, North Koreans are fascinated by South Korean soap operas, movies, and music.
남한 그 배우 중에서는 누가 좀 마음에 들어요?
이 사람 아닙니까? 치즈, 스페처스.
The spread of South Korean pop culture in the regime is thanks to Chinese video devices called Note TVs. Such Note TVs arrived in North Korea 3 or 4 years ago, and it's legal to own one. People can easily avoid authorities' surveillance since CDs and USB devices are easy to hide.
남한의 영화나 드라마를 보면 발전된 경제적 모습이라든지 자유를 경험하게 되는 거고요. 그런 의식 변화가 결국은 체제의 어떤 균열의 틈새가 될 수 있다고 보는 거고요.
South Korean pop culture is having an enormous impact on the secretive society. Last month, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un issued a special order to severely punish those who were found to have watched South Korean dramas and movies.
KBS has hosted a pop music concert in Turkey to mark the Istanbul Gyeongju World Culture Expo 2013. The show featured Korean idol singers who took the Turkish audience by storm.
A big crowd of K-pop fans gathered in front of the music band concert venue. The most ardent fans of K-pop stayed up all night waiting for the concert. Some of them came from other countries.
We love Super Junior. I want them to go to Tunisia. We support Super Junior. Super Junior fighting!
The stadium is packed with more than 10,000 people. The concert featured 6 popular K-pop groups such as M-Black, Miss A, Beast, and Super Junior. Their fans sang along with them throughout the concert. Korean singers repaid their fans for their love and support with very enrapturing stage manners.
일단 터키에 왔는데 정말 뜻밖인 사랑 너무 많이 보여주셔서 너무 감사드리고요. 앞으로도 터키뿐만 아니라 모든 각 나라에서 많이 찾아뵀으면 좋겠습니다.
The KBS Music Band concert held in Istanbul will be broadcast in 80 countries, including Korea, Turkey, and the United States.
Dancing is something all generations can enjoy, and it's known for uplifting people's quality of life. Today, we'll introduce you to ordinary people showing off some rather extraordinary dance moves. Many women are learning belly dancing as a way to keep in better shape. Among this group of flexible ladies, there's one person here that looks a little stiff.
가족들이 다 하니까 한번 따라해보자 해갖고 하게 됐어요. 차고요. 딸, 둘째 딸.
With mom's encouragement, the entire family has picked up belly dancing. The daughters are learning quickly, but dad still struggles.
다른 사람보다 2배, 3배 더 독하게 훈련을 시키는데요. 감정이 좀 실려 있는 것 같아요.
아이, 저 정도는 약과예요. 저 정도는 기본적으로 2시간은 해야지. 그래도 많이 늘었어요. 잘하네.
He was embarrassed and reluctant at first, but now he dances with his family at least once a week. It's been 8 years of dancing, and maybe his skills have not greatly improved, but it has definitely been a chance for him to connect with his daughters.
소통도 잘 되고 가족끼리 뭔가 할 수 있다는 게 뭔가 뜻깊은 것 같아요.
Next, we visit an elementary school in Incheon, where we heard there was a big-time dancing enthusiast. It's none other than the school principal who's enchanted by folk dancing. What's the motivation for his daily morning dances?
우리 아이들에게 어떤 그 남을 사랑하고 배려하는 그런 마음을 키우기 위해서
The entire campus is transformed into a dance floor during lunch. Kim first learned folk dancing 10 years ago during teacher's training, and now he instructs his students on traditional world dances. The kids get to learn about the dances and cultures of various countries with a cooperative spirit. While they were unfamiliar with folk dancing at first, the students love it now.
댄스 추니까 다이어트 하는 것 같아요. 다이어트는 꽃미남이 될 거예요. 친구들이랑 친해진 것 같고 친구들이랑 많이 얘기해서 좋아요.
The adults are also getting into the dance craze. Teachers and parents learn folk dances from the principal after school hours. Connecting through dance, the teachers and parents grow stronger ties with each other and their children. Unlike other schools where it's all about grades and test scores, this school is opening a new chapter in education through dancing.
학생, 학부모, 교사가 다 같이 같은 춤을 추고 같은 즐거움을 가지니까 그게 추억이 되고 또 공동의 화제가 되고 그래서 이야기거리가 많아지고 그래서 더 가까워지니까 교육이 훨씬 수월하죠. 구름 위를 걷는 것처럼 너무너무 기쁘고 즐거워요. 내 마음도 같이 춤출 수 있게끔 하는 그런 아주 굉장히 좋은 그런 시간이고 댄스인 것 같아요.
Dance brings together generations and facilitates communication. Why not join this healthy dance trend, making a splash in Korea? Now we'll take a look at the markets, followed by the world weather. And that's it for this edition of News Today. We'll see you at the same time tomorrow. Have a great day.